Hey guys, it's me. I'm back with another top 10 for the year. This time it's TV. Oh boy. Just like movies, there was a lot of good TV this year. And I could make a top 20 if I wanted to. But I don't want to put me and you through that. So I'm just doing top 10. Know that there are a lot of good shows out there. Just to name a few that aren't on this list: Criminal Minds, Younger, Elementary, the list goes on. Also, I decided that this year I'd add my TV rule, which is no comic book TV shows. Why? Let's see, because this year alone we had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Arrow, Flash, iZombie, and I believe Agent Carter. And all but Agent Carter would have been on my top 10. And the only reason why not Agent Carter is because I haven't seen it yet. That is 6 out of the top 10. So, to add some variety and to challenge myself more, they're all gone. But they're all great and they all would have made the list. If you're curious, probably my favorite of the group right there is Jessica Jones. Also, like last year, there were a lot of good shows that I'm just not up to date on that probably wouldn't make the list. Like Orphan Black, Fargo, The 100, the list goes on. So if you don't see your favorite show, it's probably because I'm not up to date on it. Let's move on to the actual list now. Just like with my top 10 movies this year, I want to throw out an honorable mention before we get started. And that honorable mention is Liv and Maddie. I know, Disney show, but this is actually really good. It goes down to the cast. I know. I keep mentioning the cast in these top tens, but they are good. And especially Liv and Maddie goes down to Dove Cameron, because there are times where I'm watching the show and I'll just blank and forget that she's playing twins, that they're the same person. She just does a really good job. And this is the year that I discovered this show, so I just wanted to throw it out there, let you guys know that even though it's a Disney show, it actually is really good. And it's got a little bit of heart, it's got some genuine funny moments, and it's a good turn your mind off type show. Anyway, let's actually get to the top 10. And no, I do not have any ties on this. So let's get started with number 10. Orange is the New Black. This show, I've always really liked the show from the beginning, and this season is not as good. Why it's only number 10, but it's still really good. It's cleverly written, well acted, and this season we had some good additions with Lori Petty and Ruby Rose, and it was cool to finally get backstories on a bunch of characters. They see are mainly the Hispanic characters. Oh boy, there were some deep backstories, and there were some deep stuff with that group of characters in the main story too, which included a really downer ending, but I won't spoil it for you. But also, it was nice to see Alex back. But there, like I said, were a few problems. I could have done without the porn stash subplot, and also the main plot was kind of lackluster. The whole used underwear subplot. Anyway, let's move on to number 9. NCIS LA. I know it's probably a weird choice given that it's a procedural show, but it's just what makes this is the character interactions and their interactions with each other. And this year we get a lot more. We also get like one-on-one relationships built even more. We get this cool subplot that bubbles up into an entire episode dedicated to a mystery within Marty's past, and also we get more development on his legit relationship with Kinsey. And this show still brings the top notch action, explosions, and makes you laugh. Can bring in the feels every once in a while. Overall, I really like the show, and this year didn't disappoint. Okay, moving on to a new show, number 8, Blind Spot. This show, it paints itself as a procedural, and it kind of is. What helped make this plot is the acting of the characters, the interesting angle that they're going with the show, like the overall plot of the fact that she has no clue who she is, but only the tattoos. It's very well acted and realistic for this absurd concept. And also the pacing on the show. The pacing is like super. Oh, that is another comic book show that would have made this list, but I omitted because no comic book rule. But back to Blind Spot. The pacing on this show is awesome. Like, you find out by episode 10 a possible answer for her real name, who put her in this situation, and many more. Plus, they even add an extra twist to the whole thing when you find out that each tattoo could have a double meaning or a triple meaning. And the action is awesome, and they let Miss Alexander show off her kick butt skills each episode. And also, there is one thing that I did not like about it, which is the subplot involving gambling, but they basically resolve it by episode 10. Yay. Anyway, let's move on to the foreign show on this list. A surprise for me, number 7, Kamen Rider Drive. I don't know what to say. I watched this year subtitled, marathon through the whole thing, 52 episodes, and it was awesome. It was a nice twist on the Kamen Rider mythos, which is usually, as the name implies, rider, so he rides a bike. Not this year. This year he actually has a car, but his belt that uses to transform actually has a personality of its own this time. The supporting characters are awesome and complex, and sorry if you can hear that. And it also has some of the best villains that I've seen in a while on TV. They're so complex, each and every one of them, and you feel for them, except for the really big bad, who isn't even introduced until like three-fourths of the way through the show. But the action is really good, fighting, and also they had a cool element to it with having him have little cars that can change his tire and give him special abilities on top of his normal abilities. Then he has the different types of abilities, and then we have the other riders, which we have our typical side rider who wants to do things on his own, then joins the team, but they actually manage to do a slight twist on him, and then they do the obviously evil rider who will eventually become good, but they do a nice twist with him and his fate at the end of the series. Oh boy. Anyway, if you can find it online or somewhere, I suggest you find a fan sub of this show and go watch it. Alright, let's move on to Back to America with number 6, Girl Meets World. Take everything I said about Liv and Maddie and multiply it times 10. It has tons of heart, tons of good comedy that will have laughing, some good life lessons for kids. Also, it fills you with the nostalgia if you're a fan of Boy Meets World. I was. And this year they just upped the ante, especially with all the relationships and everything. And it's getting so complex, but in a good way. And I will just end it there and move on to the newest show I've watched on this list with number 5, Mr. Robot. Whoa, this show. I'm really surprised about this. It's a realistic look at hacking. It shows you an anonymous type group down to the fact that they use a unique looking mask to hide their faces, and the main character clearly has some psychological problems, and as the show goes along we get more into what they are and how they are affecting him, one of which is they use this as a way for narration because the camera ends up being his imaginary friend that he talks to, and I did not see some of these big twists that happened towards the end, and it had a lot of twists and turns. Did not see most of them coming, and I am a huge TV person. Usually I see these coming. But anyway, go see it. Let's move on to number 4, The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, another new show on this list. Now, this one knocked it out of the park. It was my favorite straight up comedy, like with no supernatural elements or anything to it, just normal straight up comedy. This was it. It had a bunch of cool, great guest stars, and its main cast awesome, including a legend or two. And it's just very weird, but in a good way, because it's all about Kimmy being from the bunker and her dealing with her life afterwards. And it's so funny. It's cleverly written. Head on you, Miss Tina Fey, who runs the whole thing, does a damn good job at it. I know it's too early to say, but I might even be liking this more than I liked her last show, 30 Rock. But then again, you know me, I like the weird, and this show definitely is weird. But it's just nice to see her go through all this stuff with her naivete and how everyone is affected by her positive attitude. This is just good, clever comedy show. Another great knockout from Netflix. Alright, so from something funny to something serious. Number 3, Pretty Little Liars. Another surprise on this list, because this is the year that I discovered this show, thanks to my friend Jay of Mr. J's Comic Reviews. I did not expect to like this show this much, but it is just some good thriller TV with good mysteries that I don't see coming, and some good twists and turns here and there. It's just when you think it's starting to get dull and it's starting to repeat itself, they do something to snap you back into it. And this year, tons of stuff happened. At least one of the liars got arrested. The girls get kidnapped. We find out who A is. Like, really? They don't string it out like any other TV show, like saying, this is A, but there's still another person using the A moniker. No, we find out who A is, who A has been this whole entire time. We find out their whole plan. And then, right as we're like, oh, we get the show ends, but then we flash to 5 years in the future. And we get a hint at what's to come. And actually, this year, it looks like instead of doing a lot of flashbacks like most TV shows nowadays, we're getting some flash forwards. I think they've even said that the first back episode soon is going to be a all in the 5 year forward. It's really good suspense thriller TV that just happens to star females. Alright, let's move on to another show that I discovered this year. Number 2, The Librarians. This was a shock. I mean, I loved the movies, but I saw the trailers and I was like, oh, this show seems. Then I started watching it and it was like, eh. But then I kept with it, and holy crap, by the time we get to the end of season 2, which just happened late last year, oh boy, we see tons of stuff this year. We saw Morgan Le Fay. We finally got answers about who Jenkins is. We get really good emotional moments with each individual character, and each character gets some growth as a character. Even Flynn, who is only a reoccurring role. Oh yeah, and this year we found out who Matt Frewer was playing, like who his character really is. We also this year in the show got a little bit of time travel, a little bit of look at parallel dimensions. We even saw a really good take on the Groundhog Day trope of living days over and over. Like Supergirl. It's a really fun show that can hit you with some hard emotional moment, but it never loses the fun feel. And it was only recently renewed for a third season, and I'm so glad because I want to see these characters again. But given the way that it ends, I don't know how they're going to do it because it's not like an holy crap, what the freak just happened type thing. Like in season one, it was more of we don't know if this show is going to be renewed or not, so we're going to leave you on a note that would be good as a season finale, but also good as a series finale, which it was. But if you guys like shows that deal with magic or deal with adventure, this is just a really good, fun show. We need more fun shows on TV. Alright, we're finally there. Number one, dealing with both being fun but serious and also time travel. Number one, Doctor Who. You know it was going to be number one. I mean, after last season, how last season was a little lackluster. I mean, when I first saw it, I put it as number one last year. I honestly, in hindsight, don't know if it deserved that. This year, it definitely does. Oh boy. We got introduced to a new reoccurring character played by the amazing Maisie Williams, who played Ashilda slash me, and she was a really cool character. We got to see Rigsy again. We got more experimental episodes. We like a horror episode that plays on the whole shaky cam and is one of the best uses I've seen of shaky cam. We had fun moments, we had serious moments. This year we got more with Kate Stewart, the head of unit. We got the return of Osgood and an explanation for how she's still there. And we started off the season with both Missy and Davros. So yeah, this season was firing on all cylinders. It was really good. Oh, and the Christmas special. I know I kind of nagged on a review of it, but I really couldn't record. We were having family over, blah blah blah, you know. So anyway, the Christmas special, which is technically part of the year and technically part of the show, was awesome. It was great to see River back. The Doctor had some great emotional moments, some great fun moments, and a really somber but good ending. And like I said with Librarians, I have no clue how they're going to do next season. I really hope that they do it good because it looks like it is going to be both Moffat and Capaldi's last season. Nothing is confirmed, but in interviews, Capaldi is saying that this may be his last, and Moffat is looking for a replacement showrunner. So it's pretty obvious next season is his last. He even said that the whole entire reason why he brought back River was because he was thinking in his head, what are some things that he wants to do before he leaves, and one of them was bring back River. And Alex Kingston does an amazing job as River. And speaking of companions, this was the year we saw the end of Clara as companion. I really like how they did it. It was kind of a twist on another companion's departure, but this one was more hopeful and left you with a fun note. And I go more into it on my Doctor Who reviews, but this was just an awesome season for the show. It came back in a good way, and this was a really good year for science fiction fans like me with Doctor Who, Star Wars, The Martian, the list goes on. Anyway, thanks for joining me for this hopefully shorter adventure. I don't know yet. I still have to do editing. Which, speaking of which, I know I made an editing faux pas in the last video, top 10 movies. I apologize for that. Try not to let it happen again, but I'm only human, and that beast took hours to edit. Anyway, till next time, where even though I never talk about it except for with my top 10s, I'm going to delve into a subject that is kind of iffy for me, but I'm going to push through it anyway. What is that? Music. Join me next time, where I think I'll be talking about the top 10 albums of last year. Till then, see ya.